Whittaker Weekly is a 3-episode anime discussion podcast where two brothers discuss a show of their choice. The show can be anything from a current season flop to a decades-old classic. What are they going to talk about next? Who knows? They sure don't. I'm Andrew.
I'm Lee.
And this is Whittaker Weekly. Let's get right to it. So, in the news. So, there's a little bit of background that I need to go ahead and share with this. There is a manga that I have been reading called Backstreet Girls. Okay, and it's a comedy. And it's kind of dark. And it's mostly dark because it's a comedy about a group of Yakuza who have failed their boss for the last time.
Okay.
And their boss is going to use them to make money. Either he's going to kill them and sell their organs, or they have the choice to go to Thailand, get a sex change operation, and then come back and become idols.
Oh, what a premise.
Yep. And so they have these amazing shots in the manga, because of course they go and they do that, because that's the entire manga. And there's these amazing shots in the manga, like, they're really, really cute idol girls sitting like Yakuza thugs or like drinking straight from the bottle, coping, like they still have the exact same personalities they had before. Yes. But some of the funniest shots in the manga are when there's reaction shocks, like people are just shocked or like reacting to something, and it's the men's faces with the girls' hair over their head. Now this was turned into an anime and it's on Netflix. We should probably watch it at some point.
Okay.
But they have released a trailer for the live-action movie of Backstreet Girls.
Yes.
And I watched it, and honestly, I had known about this for a while, but I had forgotten the name of it. So when I came across this, I took the opportunity to start reading the manga, and the manga is just delightfully horrible. The horrible things that their boss forces these men to do to repay their debt to him. Wow. So it's funny in a, oh, these poor people way. Anyway, next bit of news after that. I guess this isn't really news, but this is something cool that I came across. So the Godzilla 2 King of All Monsters trailer hit a few weeks back. Well, a Godzilla fan took clips from the Toho Japanese, the Toho Godzilla movies, and recut the entire Godzilla 2 trailer using footage from just the Toho ones.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of delightful.
Okay.
Like they do it's the same audio as the newest trailer.
Sure.
But they take the they do a pretty great job of taking the Toho stuff and putting it to the audio for the trailer. So
okay.
Yeah, and then we also have a bit of news that you stumbled upon.
Yes, they've announced that My Hero Academia Season 4 of the anime is to premiere in October 2019. So we got another 10 months to wait before we see more My Hero Academia. But the promotional poster that's associated with that is the new guy that they introduced in the last
top guy of the school. The
top guy of the school looks like he's going to end up being Deku's mentor moving forward.
Yeah,
is what it looks like.
Yeah, that's. I have not read all of the manga. I just started reading the manga. Like, I got into the show, and I just kind of picked up the manga where the manga was currently translated, and have been reading it every week. And that's a good way of saying that. He kind of becomes a mentor, someone that Deku looks up to.
Deku now has a senpai.
Mm-hmm. Deku has a senpai. He's such a weird character. But
he's still to this. He still looks like, you know.
Did you see
the Adventures of Tintin?
Yeah, Tintin. Have you seen the fan art that somebody made? You can find it on Know Your Meme. That's where I first saw it. In, you know how they say they're called the Big Three and like they're marching down the hall?
Yes.
Someone took that image from the manga and very nicely drew over the three of them.
Yeah.
And is saying they're called the Big Three, and he drew Luffy's outfit over.
Yeah, Luffy's hat and scar on his chest
and then the girl, I can't remember the characters' names, but she was dressed up
as a Shinigami.
She was dressed up as a Shinigami from Bleach, and then the guy, the one who was depressed and always like looking at the wall and stuff, he was dressed up as Sasuke from Naruto.
That's right.
They're known as the Big Three. Anyway, yeah.
Which reminds me, I saw a little somebody shared on Facebook a fan comic where they shipped Ochako and Bakugo, and they had a daughter. And the
Okay.
daughter looks like Ochako does now, but a little younger. And she's same haircut, but she wishes she had powers, and she can't wait to find out what they are. And she puts her hands together and goes, and then if I had my mom's powers, I could make all these things fly up in the air and then go release and make a ball fall down. And when she says release, she blows up half of the couch that Bakugo's sitting on, the half that he's not on.
Mhm.
Did you just blow up my couch? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Can you do it again?
Can you do it again?
And then Ochako comes home, and they've blown up everything in the house. And it was a delightful thing, but then I had to post afterwards that meme of
Delete this.
no,
Only villains
no,
do this.
Yes, the only villains do this. I posted the always do this, and it's a picture of shipping Deku and Ochako,
Mm-hmm.
and only villains do this, shipping Bakugo and Ochako.
Yeah, only villains do this. That's great.
So
okay.
it was adorable, but still, only villains do that.
Okay, so we don't have a lot of time tonight, so we're gonna try to keep tonight's episode kind of short. But we're gonna go ahead and get right into 3 episodes in.
Yes.
And I don't want to say this is going to be an easy show to keep short. It's simple, though. It's fairly just kind of straightforward. There's not like a whole lot of super depth and stuff going on.
No.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the first 3 episodes of the show so far. I'm looking forward to watching more. But this week we are discussing Dragon Pilot.
Yes.
So again, this is the synopsis taken from Google. Hisone Amakasu is a rookie in the Japan Air Self-Defense Force located at the Gifu Air Base. While there, a concealed dragon, Masotan, chooses her to be his pilot, which leads her to discover that being a dragon pilot is her destiny, and she undergoes fighter pilot training for an upcoming mission for Hisone and the other dragon pilots. The pilots eventually go on the mission under the watchful eye of the command center. Okay, so it starts off. Episode 1 starts off with Hisone still in high school.
Yes.
And she's filling out one of those where do you want to go with your life? What are your top 3 choices?
It's a questionnaire and assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you what are your wants and combined with what are your current talents.
And the teachers in Japan, they'll use that to try to help you and like they use that to be like, okay, so you want to go to this school? Well, this is what you need to do in order to go to that school. So they use that to kind of help plan out the rest of their school life and what they need to do in order to get into the school they want to go to.
Yes.
So,
and slice of life anime covers that repeatedly.
Yeah, they really do. Anyway, she's just kind of sitting there while everyone else is kind of talking about their life and how they want to kind of do only something that they can do.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, only something I can do, huh? And then she looks up and she sees jets flying by, fighter jets flying by, F-15s.
Yes.
And she's just like, huh. And so she just kind of writes down in her own, the only thing she fills out is self-defense force pilot.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. She doesn't write, and she just kind of walks away from the assignment after that. And then we jump forward several years, and we see these pilots flying through the sky, the Japanese the self-defense force.
Yes.
The pilots are flying through the sky, doing all these awesome maneuvers and flying around and stuff. And then we cut, and poor Hisune has a desk job as the Japanese self-defense force.
Yes.
She's not a pilot.
No.
Nope.
No. And her supervisor, who is a regular on the show, a major character, comes up to her and hands her a piece of paper to deliver to someone. And
I've actually only seen her once. The
supervisor with the glasses. I swear that she was in there over and over again.
The supervisor with the glasses is the supervisor over the dragon pilots. This girl's not over the dragon pilots.
The one that handed her the paper? That wasn't her?
No, she had brown hair kind of in a bun cut.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so he hands her this paper, tells her to deliver to this person, and she then proceeds to think out loud about how she doesn't know where this person is, or have never been to Hangar 8 before, and how she's not qualified to make this delivery.
Yeah, and she's like, no, it's fine, just go ahead and take my moped. I don't understand, and then, sorry.
That's not the problem. The problem is even if I took your moped, I wouldn't even know where to go with this. I mean...
Yeah, and
she starts rambling.
She just starts rambling of how this is. What is this? Is this some kind of raising? Does this happen when single women start getting up on a younger, more attractive girl because they've already lost their prospects in marriage? And she's just starts rambling all this stuff, and everyone's just like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh crap! I said that out loud. I'll go. Bye." And she just leaves.
Yes. And apparently this is a running gag for her, is the inability to hold anything in.
She says what's on her mind, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. She says what's on her mind every time.
She's one of those filterless people.
And she's just freaking adorable.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so she finds herself at the at a large display that is the directory, the map.
It's the map of the base.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's trying to find where's Hangar 8? Where's Hangar 8?
This map only goes to Hangar 7. Where's Hangar 8?
And then this little old lady on a scooter of some kind carrying boxes of yogurt stop by.
She offers her first a Yakult. And Yakult is, for those of you who don't know, it's actually a probiotic drink. It's a yogurt drink. Mm-hmm. You can actually buy them here in the States now. They're about that big. It's just like a one-shot probiotic. You're supposed you start your day off with it and stuff like that. And she says, and she just kind of gets weirded out, and then she hands her a different one.
Yeah.
So
now what a probiotic is it's a natural culture that actually helps your gut bacteria perform better, and or enhances the gut bacteria that's already there, or adds to it, which is actually foreshadowing on the premise of the show. When you think about it.
Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is. But this woman comes up to her and says, "Oh, I think you'll know what you're looking. I think you'll find what you're looking for up there."
She points to some mountain in the distance,
and she's just like, "What? Wait, what? Huh?" And this old lady shows up multiple times.
Yes.
Never say what her name is, but she obviously has a much bigger purpose than just giving her yogurt.
Right.
But anyway, she goes up to the she finds Hangar 8 randomly up in the mountains up there.
Yep.
And she goes in and she's just like, "I'm supposed to deliver this letter, hello?" And it's completely empty. There's no one there at all. And no lights, no nothing. And she's just like, "Really? So I guess it really was them just making fun of me. This is harassment of some sort."
And so she gets a little bit scared because it's quiet and big, and there's a pool and there's some bubbling in the pool.
And she's like, "A pool? Why is there a pool here? Because you don't see a pool in a hangar."
Yeah. And so she needs self-care and self-comfort. So she opens up her flip phone and and opens up a picture of her cat and starts nuzzling her phone, saying, "Oh, I miss you, Mr. Fluffles," or whatever his name was.
Yeah, well, I didn't write down the cat's name.
And she just misses him so much. And as she's carrying on, she doesn't notice the bubbling increasing in the pool behind her. Mm-hmm. And then the creature emerging and looming over her.
Doesn't she finally look up?
Well, she eventually senses something behind her. She looks up, and it looks at her. And she starts screaming. And it lunges, and its mouth is wide open. Cut to the opening credits.
And just whoop, and then it cuts to the opening credits. And then we cut, and after the opening credits, we are in a hospital room, and there's a military guy talking to
to her with it, which is now a classic anime trope.
Yeah, they have after the opening credits. That's right. After the opening credits, there's these beautiful pictures of ancient Japanese style pictures of dragons and humans working together
with a narration.
He's talking about how dragons are blessings among the land, and if there's a dragon there, the land will prosper.
And how the shogunate used to camouflage dragons, use them as weapons.
Enemies would come and try to take the dragons from us, so they could go ahead and be prosperous themselves. And so the shogunate would disguise, and so he ended up disguising them so they wouldn't be used as weapons and things like that. Yeah.
And so that was a tradition. And then suddenly, after the shogunate went away and Japan modernized, then it was the SDF's responsibility to keep the dragons.
I'm pretty sure they specifically say after World War II, because that's when the SDF, the JSDF. Was formed.
Right.
The Japanese Self-Defense Force.
Yes.
And so it now falls on them to take care of these creatures, these dragons. And she's just not. And it cuts, and it's this officer
holding up cue cards.
Holding up cue cards that are the pictures that we were just seeing.
Yes.
And she's just not having any of it. She's just thinking, it threw me up. Is the first thing she says. And then it cuts back to one of them says, "Oh yeah, well, we had to he wasn't spitting you up, so we kind of had to force him to regurgitate you." And it cuts to
now something we skipped before this is just before they sent her off, and I wrote this down as one of my 10 great things in this episode, is that is that apparently it happens a lot in anime, but it almost never happens in real life. that that when you
green tea stock.
that they have different kinds of tea, and they have leaf tea and stalk tea. And stalk tea uses the stems of the of tea leaves to make a much lighter flavor. And sometimes, and then when sifting it, sometimes a single stalk will come into the tea. And if it does, and it floats straight up and down, then that's an omen that you're going to meet the person that you're destined to be with, or somebody.
Yeah, it's a good
important.
omen.
It's a good omen. And it says, "Oh, there's a stalk in my tea. Oh, is it floating? No, it seems to be broken in half."
Oh yeah, no. The one who says that is actually the commander.
Yes.
Of the base who just sent her. That was like he witnessed her being sent with that documentation to go to Hangar 8.
Yes.
And there was a little bit of foreshadowing there as well, because the girl walks over to the commander and says, "Do you really think that it will work out for her?" He's like, "I've got a good feeling about her." "Oh, hey, look, I've got a stock in my tea." "Oh, that's good luck. I've got a stock in my tea." "Oh, is it bobbing up and down, or is it straight up and down?" "That's good luck." It's broken in half." Yeah. So just like, oh.
So I actually did some Google search to try to figure out if there was an omen specifically to that, and I couldn't find any information about what a broken stem might mean.
It might just be
really bad luck.
It might just be a throwaway gag.
Yeah.
Just no, it's not good luck. It's not good luck is what they're saying.
Yes.
But anyway, so she's just kind of stupefied because they had to force they injected the dragon with something to get the dragon to cough her up because the dragon wasn't releasing her at all.
Yeah.
But she's just like, "Oh, it threw me up." And then as soon as she says that, the commander's just like, "That's great. Most people would be freaking out about the fact that dragons exist, but for you, the first thing out of your mouth is that it threw you up. So you've already accepted the fact that they're real. So you're going to be a great dragon pilot." Wait, what? Huh? Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh. And then, okay. So moving on, they prep her, and there's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of talking, and they're ignoring every single attempt of her protesting about all this.
She's like, no, I don't. What? No, I don't want this. No, And
eventually, they put her in a uniform with a helmet and put her in front of the dragon. They're about to be gobbled up, and then she screams, "I don't want this," in front of everybody. And it's like, well, now's a pretty bad time for you to be saying that. 15. I have told you 15 times that I do not want this. And it just starts rambling over and over and over again.
We meet some other characters as well during this scene. Like, I just wanted to go ahead and say we meet the mechanic.
Yes.
And
what's his name?
I've got his name here. It is Okonogi.
Yeah.
And we also, because they kind of take her through the base, they've given her like her box and her stuff, and she's trying to say, "I don't want this." We get introduced to another one of the pilot candidates, Kaizaki Nao.
Who is a Yakuza thug type personality.
Yeah, she's a Yankee.
Yankee. A Yakuza wannabe? Is that what a Yankee?
A Yankee is the tough kid of the school. They're a punk. They're
they give you the ugly faces.
They're like, like they're the ones who get super mad about everything.
Yeah. Saki from Zombieland Saga.
Yeah, she's a Yankee.
Yeah.
She's a Yankee. I think they say delinquent in most anime.
Right.
But yeah, usually they're referred to as Yankee.
So Cromartie High School is a Yankee high school.
Cromartie High School is a Yankee high. Anyway, so we meet all those other characters, and yes, when she finally gets to, they're like, "We'll just go ahead and step up." It's like, "Go, just reach out and touch it, like E.T., like this." And the commander reaches out, and then the woman commander,
she rolls her eyes, but she demonstrates as well. The guy commander is way too into what's going on, and the lady commander's very.
I think her name is Kakiyasu, the woman with the black hair and the bun and the glasses.
Yes.
And like the commander, I didn't write his. I don't think they've ever said his name. So he just like he just points his finger out, and she's just like, and reaches out and touches his finger as if it was E.T. It's like E.T. like that, and like go ahead, and she forcing her to go forward and stuff like that, and she's just
and the dragon actually bends down first and initiates the contact. Usually, she has to hold her hand out, and then the dragon acquiesces to touch it. But in this instance, and apparently they made a big deal about the fact that it did this. And Okay, so I actually what was the mechanic's name again? The guy
Okonogi.
Okanogi. I ended up watching this in English
Okay.
and not with the not in Japanese with the subtitles. The voice actor for that character is also the voice actor for Aaron Yeager in the English translation of
Oh, okay.
of I thought it was Vic Montaigne because it sounded a lot like
Uh-huh.
his character from it sounded a lot like oh, what's his name, the blonde king from Oron High School Host Club,
Oh, yeah.
but it wasn't
King.
him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot like, it sounded a lot like that character,
Okay.
but it's not
Okay.
the same guy. So
Okay. And I know the dragon eats her several times in this episode.
yes, and each time it's so unceremonious.
Mm-hmm.
Like so after she makes all these complaints and then realizes how embarrassed she is about how she just rambled like that,
well, and like,
then the dragon just goes, oh.
Well, she so she says when she says I don't want to do this, then what's her name, the leader of the squadron, Kakiyasu, she's just like, you've had plenty of opportunity to say that you didn't want to do this before. This is kind of bad timing. And then she's just like 15.
I've said no 15 times at this point.
I have said no 15 times at this point. And she starts rambling off again about how, this is harassment, how I had only agreed to a certain term and you renewed that term from this point on.
Which she starts citing which rules she broke to make that happen.
Yep. And doing all these things, and it's like, if I had gone to Twitter, if I went to Twitter, I could make a whole lot of issues for you. But I don't actually use Twitter, so you're okay then. Yeah.
It was all over the place.
And yeah, the dragon just goes, grabs her again.
Yeah.
And yeah, that doesn't end well at all.
It's just a very sudden clump eats her, and suddenly everybody in the hangar is panicking, like, uh-oh.
Uh-huh. Does the dragon fly at that point? I don't remember. I don't think he flies at that. I think it's the third time.
No, it's the third time that he flies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for whatever reason, she goes in. I think she's apologizing to the dragon the third time.
The third time, let me see if I've got anything written down here for it. Oh, come on. I guess apparently you decided to go ahead and close my name.
So I remember that after running off her mouth, she goes off to a corner and makes a phone call to, I think, her parents, her dad, and starts complaining about all the problems she's caused for herself and whatnot. And that's when the young man catches her on the phone, and then she panics even more and runs off.
And then she says how she just kind of calls him out once again. She doesn't, not once again, but
so he's there vaping.
Yeah, well, no, he's not vaping. That's actually it's actually a cigarette. It's a special type of cigarette holder where the smoke gets contained inside of what he's holding. So you could see he actually takes the cigarette out and throws the cigarette away after that. But he
she says something to the effect of how he has a baby face but he's smoking, so he's trying really hard to look cool and it's not working out.
And how he's out here trying to seem friendly and nice, but she can't help but think he has an ulterior motive, and he instantly just goes ugh. Just she was able to read him that well. And then she explains the reason she can't stop talking is because her parents raised her to say what's on her mind. They said always say what's on your mind, but because she always does that, she always pushes people away.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then she runs off again after that. And it gets to that night, and we see the Yankee. We see Nao sleeping, and we then see her. We see the forgot her name all of a sudden. Hisone. We see Hisone with a box leaving, she's just leaving.
Yeah.
Planning to go AWOL. Because she doesn't want this. This is not what she wanted at all. But anyway, she walks past the hangar. And she hears once again Okonogi. He's talking to the dragon. And doing tune-ups on the dragon's armor and stuff like that. Oh, that's right. We see the first time the dragon's camouflage is they put on the parts of a jet for the dragon.
Yes.
And he's anyway, yeah, they put on parts of the jet for the dragon, and then that night, Okonogi is fine-tuning that stuff, and he's talking about how great it was that he finally found a pilot. That the dragon finally found a pilot, because this dragon apparently, one of the reasons there's a pool in here is because dragons, in order to to cool off their bodies, they just build up so much body heat. They have to fly to relieve some of that heat, but they can't fly without a human pilot. What? But because of the agreement that they have with humans.
Yes. If they don't have a human pilot to help them get back to where they came from, then they could get captured by someone else.
Yep.
So it's a safety thing for them too.
And so they had this pool, and this pool was helping him keep cool, but it was getting to the point to where the pool wasn't working any longer. Yeah. So they needed to find a pilot and the dragon chooses their pilot is what it's revealed here. Mm-hmm. The dragon chooses their pilot. It's not something that the Japanese self-defense force can force on a dragon. The dragon has to choose who it wants to fly him.
Right.
And then she gets she decides to apologize to the dragon because she realizes that she insulted the dragon.
Right.
And she goes in, she has the helmet on, and she tries to make nice with the dragon, and she does the E.T. thing where she puts her finger out, and the dragon reaches down with his nose and touches her.
Yeah.
And she touches him for the first time and realizes that it's a real thing, and she's just like, oh, this is wonderful. And then she goes, huh? Like, she gets scared all of a sudden because the dragon has suddenly opened up its mouth, and boom! Eats her the third time. Clomp.
Nom.
And then the dragon goes out for a flight.
Yes, the dragon flies off and starts wreaking havoc on the base. Knocks down a transformer pole.
In the dragon's defense, it's been 3 years since he's flown.
It has been 3 years since he's flown, and it's very chaotic. And what's her name? Hisone is inside the dragon's stomach and is, contemplating, okay, is this how I die now? And what's going on here? And the dragon's flying around chaotically.
We also learn in this episode, I don't think at this point, is it at this point? Or I forget where, but we learned that they have special suits for the dragon pilots because they're literally inside the dragon's stomach.
Yes, the entire time.
With gastric acids that can eat them away.
Oh, and that was something else. It was early part of the training. There was a class that they had with the instructor with the glasses and the what did you call her? What kind of kid was
now?
She? Now, yeah. About being thrown up by the dragon. It says, well, sometimes that's not an option.
Sometimes that's not an option. She's like, wait. What? Sometimes in emergencies, you will have to eject through somewhere else. And she's like, what? No! What? So they're just freaking this poor girl out.
Yeah, yes, being vomited up is the preferable.
We also need to establish that the dragons eat rare metals for their foods. And
but that comes up in the second episode, I think.
That is revisited in the second episode. But in the first episode, it's revealed that she has a flip flown.
Well, that's how they save her. So she's in the stomach.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She's got flip flown.
And she's convinced she's gonna die, and so she calls up the base to apologize for. To give one last apology. And
she thanks mom and dad for raising her, and she apologizes for them spending so much money only so she could die before them. And then she wants to see her cat again. And then, she calls base like you were saying.
And then she calls the base to apologize. And the base takes up and says, are you wearing your helmet? Yes. Push the switch on the back of your helmet. She turns on the switch, and suddenly she has a heads-up display. It says, now push this button on the heads-up. Now push this button on your helmet. Look for the one that has this code. And so there's a bunch of things flying around. She touches the right one right on her nose. And then suddenly the stomach she's in turns into a virtual reality cockpit.
Turns into a 360 virtual reality cockpit where she can see everything around her.
Yeah.
And she's just blown away with how cool it all is all of a sudden.
Which reminds me, actually, that I was at an airstrip yesterday for work, and they were showing me off that the modern pilots these days, their entire heads-up display is built into the helmet, so they don't even need it in their cockpit anymore.
Wow.
So
crazy. But anyway, so she then comes back to base, or they're able to retrieve her and the dragon because they're able to trace her now.
Yeah.
And they It's like, oh, well, how are you able to find me? Oh, it's because of that old cell phone you have. Like, most people have, smartphones, but your old cell phone has a certain receiver that we were able to track. And like, oh, okay. Oh, also, they also say like, I forget exactly how they lead up to it, but it's revealed that the dragon eats rare metals,
and the dragon then eats her phone.
And the dragon then leans down and eats her phone because it's filled with rare metals. And it's like, yeah, everyone around here has smartphones because he eats the flip phones. And they're just like, what? And then now it's like, you mean that he chose? Because now she's
yeah, she was the candidate. She was the prime candidate, and is very unhappy that this new person came out of nowhere, got chosen instead of her.
Mm-hmm.
That's her beef.
The dragon, she's like, you mean that this girl got picked because he wanted to eat her flip phone? And then she looks up at the dragon. She and the dragon shared a moment the previous night before the dragon ate her. And she just says,
I think it's a bit more than that.
I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And then next episode, they're all cleaning the dragon. So that says the end of episode 1. Yes. Episode 2, they're all cleaning dragons and stuff. And real fast, I did want to say one of the things that I found was interesting is that this is, this Japanese company made this.
Bones?
Bones made this. And the artwork as well that they pick for like telling the history of the dragons and humans and how they work together to hide the dragons. They all picked Oriental dragons, but these are very Western style dragons that we're seeing.
Yeah, it's true.
So I was, and I know the reason they did that was because it's easier to have, it's more believable to have,
a Western style
dragon turn into an F-15 than an Eastern style dragon.
Sure.
So.
Sure, an Eastern style dragon would more likely turn into a train.
Yeah, something like that.
So like the Galaxy Express.
Yeah.
That would be the camouflage for an Eastern style dragon.
But so episode 3 starts off with them cleaning the dragon, and then Nao is determined to prove that she can become a dragon pilot as well. And so Nao walks up to the dragon, and she is wearing like six or seven flip phones around her neck
on a set of lanyards,
all on lanyards around her neck. And she walks up, and she's like, "I'm going to prove that he only picked you because he wanted to eat your cell phone." And then they're like, "What are you doing? You're being crazy." And then the dragon leans down and eats her, and was like, "What the crap?" And then the dragon suddenly goes, "Patooey."
Yes, and she goes launched across the hanger into the arms of some of the guys.
Yeah, some of the guys caught her, and
she's covered in
dragon
saliva.
goop. Yeah. And the dragon is just sitting there munching on the cell phones.
The old bait and switch.
Well, and then later on, we see that someone is feeding the dragon cell phones from a bucket and toss them as if they were fish.
As if they were a fish to a dolphin, yeah.
Anyway, so episode 2.
So the major through point of the first part of episode 2 was that Nao was trying to get Hisone to leave, to quit. And so she starts bullying her in different ways. And the first thing she does is steals her lunch, which is minced meat pie, or minced meat patty, and replaces it with a poorly made... I've made a croquette. I've made these before. I've had to make these for work before. But yeah, with these poorly made croquettes. And she eats it and goes, "These croquettes are really good. I love how big and chunky these potatoes are." And so in Hisone's mind, she just did her a huge favor because she replaced her food with something she doesn't like, which was the minced meat pies, with this patties with this. And then that night she decides, "You're not going to get any sleep tonight." So she plays this tape or CD of The Emperor's New Clothes being played, is what they said in the English version.
I didn't catch what it was called. It was just some radio drama that they were doing, that they were playing.
And so she's like, "Oh, I used to listen to this as a child." And then she falls asleep instantly because of how comforting it is to hear it. And then the other one's just so upset that she fell asleep. Now it's just so upset that she fell asleep. She turned it off, lied down, and can't sleep because of A, Hisone's snoring, and B, now I want to finish that story.
Hisone's snoring, I don't know, I didn't watch the English version, but in the Japanese version, her snoring is not that bad. No, her snoring is just like, it's just like kind of a noise to make it sound like she's asleep.
But what she utters out loud is, now I want to finish that story.
And she's like, no, now I'm excited and I want to finish that story. Yeah, so, and then she wakes up the next morning and she's got like
bags under her eyes.
And she's like, oh, are you feeling okay now? Or not now.
Nah.
She doesn't call her now yet.
Uh-huh. But after all of these wonderful things that are happening to her, she thinks maybe she should be on a first name basis with this girl who's puts on a mean front, but has actually done all these wonderfully nice things to her. It's just like all of this bullying is coming off as tokens of friendship.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
And she gets super and Nao realizes that all the bullying is failing, and she gets super upset about it.
Yes.
And I forget the exact scene, but at one point she's like, maybe I should call her. Hisone is just like, maybe I should call her Nao-chan, or maybe I should call her Nao. And she's like, no, that might be too quick, or something like that.
Well, she does it in the classroom, and then Nao puts her arms around her neck, says, "Who gave you permission to call me by my first name?"
Like, Nao, be careful. Or something like that.
Yeah. And then the teacher scolds her about what would you think if such and such vice admiral or whatever ranked.
Mm-hmm.
A very high ranked official says, "Why do you gotta bring my mother into this?"
Well, yeah, she says Kaizaki.
Yeah.
Like if like former officer Kaizaki knew about this, is what she says.
Uh-huh.
And Kaizaki is Nao's mom.
Yeah.
Anyway. I want to say they're cleaning the dragon next.
Okay, so what happens next is everybody's cleaning the dragon.
Uh-huh.
And then Hisone comes in and then starts talking to the dragon about how not to judge now by her looks and her mean expression, and how nice she really is.
Because how nice she really is, and she's saying all these things to all these
things.
And
then maybe she should, and that maybe you should have picked her because she's really more deserving than I am, and this, that, and the other thing.
And Okunogi sees Nao.
It's like, you should stop.
He's like, you need to stop.
You should stop now.
You should stop right now. You need to stop right now.
Uh-huh. And then suddenly, from across the hangar, a combat boot whacks Hisone in the back of the head.
Uh-huh. And she turns around, and we see Nao from the distance, and her eyes are red for half a second. And then it zooms up, and her eyes are normal.
Well, I thought it was her blush that was red from across the room.
It
the blush of her cheeks.
From my TV, it looked like her eyes were red. So
from mine, it looked like she was blushing.
But anyway, she zooms up and she just screams and is like, "I don't need your pity," and then goes off.
Yes.
And then that night, and Hisone has no idea what happened.
How to make things better.
How to make things better. That night, as they're going to sleep, Nao is reading like a shonen or shoujo weekly manga.
Yeah, she's reading a shoujo manga that features so it looks like a white swan sort of dance thing.
It's
that's
a ballet type thing.
Ballet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the rival of the main character in that manga cuts the girl's dress so the dress falls off her while she's performing.
Which we didn't actually bring up who was introduced at the beginning of the new episode.
Oh.
The costume design. the costume designer.
Yep, at the very beginning of the episode, he shows up. And
it's clear that Now has a thing for him and is really into him. And he's snubbing her so hard.
Yeah.
Walks right by her, pays her no heed.
Mm-hmm. And then he walks up and he grabs Hisone.
Right around
the waist and pushes his head up against her belly button. A bit lower than her belly button. And Hisone's just freaking out, and Nao's getting mad. And he's just like, 34 centimeters. Or whatever number he says.
Yeah, it's something realistic. It's like 86 centimeters.
Yeah, 80 is like 86 centimeters. Yeah, so this guy is able to just measure people by touching them. Or like even just looking at them.
Yes. And the entire time he's making the most awkward, he's saying in the most awkward possible ways.
Ikushima is his name.
Ikushima is saying in the most awkward, impossible ways about, "Oh, I'm not interested in you. I only want your body."
And she's like, "What?"
Could you start saying things in ways that don't make me want to throw up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and he's there, and they reveal that he's the person who designs the suits.
Yes.
For dragon pilots.
Yes.
And so,
and what happens is so there's a series of really awful suits that.
Yep. Next thing that happens is there's a montage. This after Nao reads the comic about cutting the person's dress. It cuts to
montage of
it's
these.
the montage of these terrible dresses. Like one's very very much a Renaissance type outfit. One's just a fat suit.
One's this hideous fat suit with plugs in weird places, and kind of looks like she's wearing a pig.
Well, and something that also,
or possibly the costume of a costume of a giant kaiju.
Yeah. But before this, we should probably mention this as well. We run into Ikushima several times throughout the episode, and one of the times he kind of, I don't want to say ambushed because he doesn't treat it like an ambush, but Nao is obviously waiting for him, and she hands him a report on this suit that apparently she's been working on. And it's very, very girly, very kiddie type report filled with crayon drawings and stuff like that. And she hands it to him and he says, okay. And she's like, well, I'm here to help you. So if there's any questions you have, please don't hesitate to ask them. He's like, oh, okay. Okay, I've got a question for you then. And she lights up and he says, yeah, does
Hisone like candy?
Does Hisone like candy? And she's like, what? Why'd you ask me that? He's like, because right now she's somewhere between a B and a C cup. And
if she's interested in candy, her size will fluctuate and will completely ruin my designs.
Yeah, it will completely ruin my design. So I have to make sure that everything's spot on. So, and he's not seeing her in a sexual way in the slightest. He just sees her, he wants to make sure he's got the best suit possible for her, you know, because that's what he does. But Nao does not see it that way. No. And and I think it's that night that she reads the manga. But anyways, it's the next day, and they just have kind of this montage, and finally they find this nice kind of green. It's not really. It's
a bluish green and silver.
It's a blue and I was going to say gold actually suit because it's not the final suit that she gets.
No. And she's embarrassed to be walking around in it because it's quite revealing. It's a skin tight bodysuit. So.
And she is, and they go off and they're going to go ahead and test it with the dragon, make sure everything's okay. And as they walk off, Nao walks in. And
with a pair of scissors.
Pulls out a pair of scissors, and she walks over to the costumes, to the suits. And as she's about to cut one of the suits, not the commander, but the leader of the squadron, walks in. Kakiyasu
walks in with glasses and
walks in and says, "And so, what are you doing over there?" It's like, "Oh, nothing." And she walks over and like puts her hand out, and Nao hands her the scissors, and she just says, "You would have regretted doing this deeply." And what would former officer Kaizaki think about this if she saw it like this? And she screams and says, "Don't you bring my mom into this!" And then she just runs off.
Yes.
And she goes AWOL. Like she
does. She steals a scooter and runs.
And we learn.
And she goes missing for a
full day.
A little more than 24 hours. It's the next night before they can run they contemplate sending out a search party for her.
And she, well, anyway, to cut a long story short, I'm forgetting her name. Hisone. She learns that there's a 1,000,000 yen fee for a search party, and if it's for a member of the self-defense force, it's their responsibility to repay that, no matter how long it takes. And so she's like, well, she'll be kicked if she... And then she goes into another one of her burning...
Tell me what they say, and I'll tell you what they say in the English version.
She's like, well, oh, man, if she... And, well, she can't afford to make those payments, and if she has to, like... And if she gets kicked out of the JSFD, she's gonna have to get a night job as well as a day job, and then she's gonna have to spend her entire life repaying this. So, something like that, yeah.
In the English version, she drops something about her becoming a streetwalker or something to help pay this off.
Wow, I don't think they go that far in the Japanese one. I think Hisune's too innocent.
Or a call girl or something like that.
Hisune's too innocent to think about something like that. She's a very, very innocent girl. Who loves her cat very much.
Yes.
Anyway, she volunteers and says, hey, we need to, well, how about this? Instead of sitting at a search party, how about you just have me and the dragon go out?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, and there's a faction within the self-defense force that is against the dragon pilots entirely, and so they're against that idea completely. But then the base commander's like, I like it, go out. So
so she goes over to the dragon, and the dragon won't have her.
Yeah.
Apparently, during her plea for the dragon to accept now, she managed to insult both Now and the dragon with that particular
And she's
speech.
wondering what's going on and why won't he accept it. And then the dragon leans down and looks at the boot that's still there. And then she realizes that, oh, it's the same. I've insulted both of them. And then she apologizes for it and says that, and she kind of, she does another one of her things where she's just, complaining about how she has no self-worth, and how Now really is the better pick. But if you'll have me type thing, I'll go with you. And the entire thing is witnessed by Okonogi. And Okonogi's just like, you're not doing very well at that, but the dragon accepts it.
If you're trying to butter him up, start lying.
Yeah. No, if you're trying to butter him up, lie. Don't be honest. But the dragon, I think one of the reasons the dragon goes for her is because of how earnest and how honest she is and everything. Because once she comes out with her honest feelings once again, the dragon leans down and just eats her once again, you know? And
one of the most adorable things that I've seen in this show, which is absolutely fantastic, happens at this moment, is that it starts flying off. And then the nose of the plane disappears and the dragon's head comes out and he goes, it takes a sniff of the air, and then it goes back into airplane mode as he's searching for Now.
Which is pretty great.
It is pretty great.
And they find Now, and we see Now has actually crashed. She crashed the moped and she's fallen off a mountain road, and she has hurt her knee really, really badly. Yeah. It's not broken, because in the next episode she's up and about and walking and stuff like that. But she's in a lot of pain and she's crying, calling out for mom, saying how much it hurts. And then she looks up as she sees a jet hovering in the air. A jet that is an F-15 is not a hover jet.
And an F-15 is not a VTA.
Yeah. It is not
VTL, vertical takeoff and landing.
Yeah, it is not one of those types of planes.
No.
But it hovers down and it pops up and it's the dragon.
Yep.
And
it's adorable.
It's so cute. And the dragon proceeds to vomit, and out comes Hisune. And before the girl comes out, a whole lot of bile comes out, and the bile covers Now.
It's like the nastiest, so it's the nastiest insults to injury about being rescued.
And she's just like,
Yeah.
And anyway, then Hisune comes out, and Hisune just apologizes profusely and stuff, and says she didn't realize that she was hurting her, and I forget everything that she says.
Right.
But pretty much she's just like, well, this isn't too far from the base. How about you go ahead and we'll have the dragon take you, and I'll go ahead and just walk. And she's like, you idiot! He won't accept me. He only accepts you. And
but he's followed your scent to find you.
He's like, but he's the one who found you. We found you because he followed your scent. And she's like, wait, what? And the dragon goes, oh, and takes her, and then flies off with her.
Fortunately, she also managed to trade helmet. By that point
she gives her the helmet and stuff like that, and says, you won't have to worry about it.
It's a short distance. You won't dissolve your clothes too much.
Which again freaks Now out.
Yeah.
And so they fly off and stuff, and we get back to the base, and Now is welcomed back, and people are worried about her, freaking out about her.
She's being debriefed by the squadron commander and told that
by Kakiyasu.
now that you've been accepted as a dragon pilot, you've completed your training, you're going on to pilot school, and you are not allowed to leave this base because you now know too much. And if you do try to quit, you will owe us 1 million yen.
Well, and that's right. She said I quit. When she said don't bring my mom into this, and then she screamed I quit and ran off.
Yes.
Kakiyasu does say that. She says, here's the thing. We're not kicking you out because you've now been accepted as you've completed the requirement of becoming a dragon pilot. A dragon took you into himself.
Mm-hmm.
So you are now officially a dragon pilot.
Right.
We just have to find a dragon for you. And she says, and there's going to be a need for dragon pilots for a lot of dragon pilots in the near future.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're not getting rid of you. And if you do quit, then we will charge you the 100 million yen that it costs to come and get you.
Yeah.
So Now it's just kind of stuck now.
Yep.
And that's kind of the end of episode 2.
That is the end of episode 2. Which, again, just to bring up a point that we said before, this is how the probiotic thing kind of worked out, because now they have this person in the stomach helping the dragon.
We both wrote the exact same thing for one of our items.
It's true.
That's fine. Anyway,
and so the next episode, we noticed that a dummy is being hand sewn by now, for a craft. And it turns out what's going on is that they're planning a major.
It's a major
festival.
public event.
It's a public event. Like in the U.S., we have the Blue Angels that do major sporting events or something, and fly in formation and have smoke clouds, and it's amazing. And so they're doing formations and a public display of a similar nature. But it ties back to a previous episode. The first part of the episode, they're doing formation drills with Hisone, who's no good.
Hisone is terrible. She's so bad. And it's her with a bunch of other actual pilots piloting F-15s.
Yeah, and she keeps slipping and falling and hitting things in the cockpit.
Which is understandable because she doesn't have anything to secure her down.
No, she has nothing to secure her down.
100% touch controls inside of a slippery, slimy stomach.
That she's positioned... I don't know. It's
she's down on all fours.
She's down on all fours. She's on her hands and knees in this stomach.
Or this special pouch. Or
I was trying to think if there was some yoga name for that pose, but no, it's just on hands and knees, and the controls are big, flashy controls that are related to where on the stomach to push to get certain responses from the dragon. So
anyway,
yes.
Sorry. Okay, so
so there's an incident with the flying, and she slips and hits some sort of exhaust release, and so at first she's not flying fast enough. She's going just below as fast as you need to go to travel safely in the substratosphere, or however high up they are, like 14,500 feet.
Something up there, yeah.
So they're up there pretty high, but she's traveling at a lower speed than is safe for those planes to be traveling.
Yeah.
And so that she's being yelled at for that. It's like, well, could you maybe try positive reinforcement instead of yelling at me? It's like, what are you talking about? Oh my, was my mic on? Your mic's been on this whole time.
Oh no, you've heard everything? Yes, of course. Your mic is hot.
Which, by the way, no, but my company took me yesterday for a free private plane tour from around Heber City. So we went around Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon and stuff, and the system they had, everybody had headsets with a microphone, and it was a cool little system that the microphones could tell a certain decibel level coming in, and so when you started speaking, it sent the mic signal to everybody. But there wasn't just some dull hiss in the headphones as you would expect from a live mic the whole time. So, but yeah, it's a cool little thing.
But anyway, so it's then inside, and it's her and all the other pilots, and they're all men, and they're all buddy, and they're calling each other by their call signs. And she's just like, wait, what's going on? Why does everybody have English nicknames?
Yes.
I mean, what is this? Why is everybody calling each other English words? I don't get it. And they're like, oh, well, it's what pilots do. We get, or no, even then, like she doesn't ask. She doesn't ask at that point. She then goes and I think they're once again cleaning the dragon or doing something with the dragon. Oh, they're in the dragon's hangar, and she sees Nao sewing that big dummy.
Yes.
That looks like a big version of Nao.
Yeah.
It's got her hair and everything. But anyway...
But ridiculous Olivia lips.
Yeah, just real bad, terrible Olivia lips. Oh, gosh. Anyway. She... Anyway, sorry.
What was her exact words? Because Hisone is trying to compliment her, but she says something about how she's doing something completely useless at the same time.
Oh, yeah, no, she's like, well, she comes over and she says, what's this for? Oh, I'm making it for, it's like, because I don't have a dragon to fly with, I've got to do something else for the festival coming up. for the event coming up. She's like, "Oh, that's incredible! You have such an incredible skill. That's so like you're doing something so great because you have nothing else to do. You know, something like that. You know,
because otherwise you'd be completely useless."
Yes.
So, some backhanded insult
which of course upsets Nao because
and now goes running after her, and
yeah,
chasing her off.
But she asks Nao why all them and like it's her, Nao, the dragon, and shoot, what's his name? Okonogi. And she's talking about how all the pilots were calling each other weird English names, and they're like, oh, well, it's kind of like nicknames. It's like, oh, really? Yeah. It's just a bonding thing that pilots do. They call each other nicknames. And Nao's like, yeah, and you have no choice in the matter because it's given to you by one of your higher uppers, by your senpai. So maybe I should give you a nickname. And it doesn't faze Hisune at all. Hisune gets up and she walks over to the dragon and starts thinking, oh, so hey. She asks Okonogi, what's the dragon's name, by the way? It's kind of weird just calling him dragon this entire time. Oh, well, he's just a dragon. Oh, okay, well, what about giving him a nickname so we can call him something? Oh, well, how about F-15? Or F-15J, which is what his insignia was. It's like, no, that's terrible. Why not? It's a great nickname. Well, that's like me calling you tracksuit. Or not tracksuit. We call you coveralls.
Yeah.
That's
just what he wears.
That's just what he wears. That's not who he is. That's like me calling you coveralls. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And so she's like, oh, Tofu! Oh, Tofu! That's what his name was. We're going to call him Oh, Tofu. What?
Because they call the dragons OTFs.
OTFs. I forget exactly what that means, but it's...
organic... something flyer.
Organic transformable flyer. Something along those lines. OTF. And like, oh, Tofu! Like, OTF! OTF! Oh, Tofu!
Yes.
Oh, Tofu!
I see how you got there.
Yeah, I see how you got there, but it doesn't make it any good.
Yeah.
But she loves it, and she keeps calling the dragon Tofu, and the dragon's just like, are you serious? That's the best name you can come up with for me type thing.
The dragon is not
having any of it. Anyway, oh, that's right. We should probably bring in the fact when she was getting chewed out by the leader of the pilots. Some of them started making fairly crass jokes, and she's just like, guys, that's borderline sexual harassment. Is that really okay for you guys to do? And they're like, oh man, I mean, the previous dragon pilot, Forrest, she was great. I mean, we just had, she would just laugh at that stuff. So it didn't bother her in the slightest. It was like, oh, yeah, so we're pretty safe. It was like, oh, okay, And then it's revealed later on that Forrest was someone by the name of Moriyama. And Mori is Japanese, forest in Japanese. And so they called her Forrest in English. And there's all these, people are just like, oh, yeah, there was that incident. Or like, oh, yeah, she's not with it. She's, she was a great pilot, and then she just suddenly stopped and, doing all these things.
And then that thing happened 3 years ago, and her uniform was completely disintegrated.
Yeah.
There's nothing
left. And they're talking about how, she was a curvy, beautiful woman, whereas, Hisune is rather small.
Yes. She's a bit of a beanpole.
She's a bit of a beanpole.
So one of the pilots, one of the higher up pilot, said something about in one scene about how he can find a way to love every kind of woman, except somehow not Hisone. She is the one type that he didn't know existed that he can't love, that he can't find
love. Anyway,
himself to love. But no, you're my type. I didn't need to know that.
I didn't need to know that.
Says the commander with the glasses and the bun.
But they anyway, so to cut a long story short, it gets to the day of the performance.
Yeah.
And they've learned that several other places aren't going to be performing like they're supposed to. So they're pretty much the last place around here that is going to perform this year. So they absolutely have to do it. Except that one of the planes isn't flying.
Right. And we find out that because of the incident we were talking about earlier about when she hits a button. So she was flying back a ways and then needed to speed up. And so she hit the wrong thing and sped up too fast. And hit something else wrong, and then it put out a lot of heat exhaust from the dragon during flight, and it damaged one of the other planes, unbeknownst to them at the time. The dragon knew and tried to communicate, but the dragon is not at the level where he can communicate with her.
Hisune is not at that level just yet. She
Yeah.
she sees that he's trying to communicate, but she can't interpret what he's saying.
Yes.
They explain that, so that's what happened, and the actual commander of the base who's there with them just says, well, the dragon exhaust is much, much hotter than that of F-15, so this plane is grounded until it's fixed, type thing.
Yeah.
And they can't do the show, and everyone's really, really upset. And so they're like, well, the only one who can do the show now is Hisune. And everyone's just like, what? No, that's terrible. But Hisune says, I'm going to do it. It's my fault, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Please count on me. And then she goes out, and they're like, and the commander's just like, well, this is great. Like, we're going to have a dragon out there, and the public's not going to know it. Wait a minute. Won't it be weird if people see a plane going by without a pilot? And as they're dropping the cockpit down on the dragon's neck, there's no pilot.
There's no pilot in the empty cockpit.
There's no pilot in the empty cockpit.
And so, what happens next? Before that,
mm-hmm.
when Now finishes the dummy is now this full-sized pilot. That's an animatronic that's just waving an arm,
mm-hmm.
and we see an older lady with a very young 3-year-old boy, saying, "Look, Mama, it's a pilot." Like, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we come to find out later that this.
Well, and this woman, she walks up to the pilot, and then she turns and she looks exactly at the mountain where Hangar 8 is hidden behind, and she says, "Oh, he sounds like he's crying about something," you know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so while they're there was some problem. The dragon didn't want to go. He had stage fright. He didn't want to get involved.
So they go out and they go out and they're on the runway and they're talking about how there's this great so they go out and they start they go on the runway.
Uh-huh.
And the dragon is about to. Anyways, real fast, we skip this part. We were starting to talk about it, then we jump backwards. They cut the robot in half, and now did you say that?
Not yet.
Okay.
So we're getting to the fact that the robot was displayed, and we started talking about the mother. But no, in this instance, yes, they cut the dummy in half, and so now it's just sitting there dejected with a pair of legs and cotton stuffing.
Yep.
And then we cut to the animatronic upper half waving from the cockpit.
Yeah, the upper half is waving from the cockpit as people are flying, as it's driving by. Because there's a lot of people there with very, very big, expensive cameras to take very, very nice photographs.
Yes.
But anyways, so they get down there, and then suddenly everything slows down, and the cockpit inside crumples down and starts crushing Hisune. And Hisune's just like, wait, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, Tofu, what's going on?
The dragon's having anxiety and his stomach's clenching.
And then
up.
she remembers that this dragon, Otofu, as she's calling him, doesn't like being in front of crowds. And he opened up his little side window and he looked at the crowd before he went to take off. And now he's panicking. He's freezing up, and she starts chewing him out. You know, she starts chewing him out in a pretty adorable way. I don't exactly remember what she says, but she was chewing him out, and
ultimately it comes down to how much trouble she's going to be in. I mean, he'll be fine, but if you have any caring for me at all, you'll help me out because I'm going to be in so much trouble if you don't get to move on.
Yep. And finally, and as she's chewing him out, everyone in the base is panicking as well because there's no power output, there's nothing. But as she's chewing him out, slowly the power output starts building, and then the cockpit starts building itself again. And then she realizes that everything's good to go, and they take off. And the dragon does this incredible takeoff where he actually skids the tail of the plane across the ground, and then shoots up and does all these incredible moves. And everyone's just like, that's incredible. We have a fighter.
We've seen a jet move that way.
I've never seen a jet move this way. And like, there's a bunch of military people as well, and one of them just says, "It looks like the Mufa base was holding back on us." And it shows the commander standing in front of the guy, and he just kind of smirks. He's like, Anyway, after the flight, they're back inside the hangar, and we also need to say that every time they say the name
Forest.
the dragon perks up and is looking around. Forest, but every time they say Moriyama, dragon doesn't do anything. And then the dragon also, and then like she's trying to instill her name to the dragon. Hisune is, the dragon's not doing anything.
Okay.
But anyways, the dragon, and they're in the hangar, and someone walks into the hangar as well. And it is...
And it's the mom.
It's the mom. Oh, wait, did this happen? I think this happened before they went out.
This happened before the flight, so that's why I was trying to bring it up that way, but it's fine.
It's fine.
We've got things a little out of order here, but no, there's a big... But, so the story's interwoven, and so we're going to tell the thread with the mom
that's right.
now.
It's the drinking afterwards. That's... Yeah. Okay, but anyways, yeah.
And so what happens is we find out that this mom, who's put on a little weight and is longer...
She's a little chubby, yeah.
Well, I only bring it up because... everybody else starts commenting when everybody realizes that this mom was Forrest, and everybody just remembers how she looked 3 years ago when she was just this bombshell with an hourglass figure in all of their minds, and now she's got a mom body. Which is, it's absolutely fine,
yeah.
but it's just nobody thought she turned that way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things is that in order to fit down a dragon's throat, you have to be a certain level of slender. And so it's kind of now that she looks this way, she's not going to fit.
Well, and we also reveal later on, there's also other reasons why she does why she is the way she is, or why she left. They kind of reveal that in this episode as well. But she walks in and she calls out Oscar.
Yeah. And
the dragon immediately reacts to it and is super happy to see Forrest again. And it's a pretty adorable scene because Hisune is just like, wait, you like the name Oscar, but you don't like Otofu? What's wrong with Otofu? It's better than Oscar,
Yes.
But they have kind of this touching scene where and after that, that's when the dragon goes out. And during the flight, we see Forrest and her kohai, or her senpai, who's the leader of the squadron. Yes. Once again, Kakiyasu. Okay. And she tells her the real reason that she stopped being the dragon pilot was because Oscar stopped accepting her for some reason.
Yeah.
And she didn't know why. And but Kakiyasu's just like, well, that's no excuse for you just to run off and get married with a man.
Are you still upset that I took him away from you?
Are you still upset that I took him from you? And she's like, no, I gave him to you. Yeah, type thing. So yeah, they were both in love with the same man. Yeah. So and then before they take off, Hisune asks Forrest to give her a nickname because Forrest is technically her senpai.
Yes, she's the last person to fly the dragon before she did. And there's just been a 3-year hiatus, so the dragon didn't want anybody. And they're having a celebration for a great, a celebration at a bar and a grill, and Forrest gets up there and she says, finally, I have the long-awaited nickname of Hisone. And she pulls up this scroll, and everybody's just like, what? Except for Hisone, who thinks it's the greatest thing. Her eyes just go super wide. She's so excited. And her nickname is her name. Like, Hisone. Don't know why. Oh, it's also revealed that during training, we should probably say this, because there's several times where they're flying up in this episode, and we kind of skipped over a couple of them. But during one of them, the dragon, she looks up and she sees this kind of a disc with some symbols on it in the dragon. Yes. And that has the dragon's true name on it. Yeah. And the dragon's true name is Masotan. Masotan. And she starts calling it Masotan. And at the end of the episode, at the very end of the episode, we see the mechanic talking to some guy who's kind of in the shadows. I think it might be the base commander. Right. I mean, it's not like they were hiding him. It's just the line of the room. Yeah, it's just an end of day report, it seems. And he says, "Oh, so we have a dragon pilot who knows the dragon, who calls the dragon by its true name, huh? Well, then she's probably the Miko we've been waiting for." And Miko is a shrine maiden in Japanese, usually someone with a holy purpose. Yeah. So, anyway, that's the first 3 episodes, and this is kind of the show where I kind of want to watch the closing credits every time, just because the closing credits are freaking adorable. I never got to watch the closing
Oh,
credits. Well, the thing is, the Netflix does that autoplay thing, and I never reached for the remote fast enough to stop the autoplay so I could finish the credits.
The credits are adorable. It's Hisone, Nao, and the other 3 dragon pilot women. Kind of just doing a cute walk and then a cute dance and things like that, and like just sporadic colors and stuff. And it's a very nice song as well. Anyway, that's 3 episodes in. What's your final thoughts?
It's pretty cute. Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have a plate full of other anime, I'd definitely add it to my list. But
so much anime to watch.
So much.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I think this is one I'm going to try to find time to watch and finish watching.
Okay.
I really, really enjoyed this.
Cool.
It just seemed right up my alley. Just the kind of the weirdness, the humor, kind of the overarching darkness of. No, I don't want to say darkness, but like the looming threat of the overall plot the entire time.
Right.
And she's just such an adorable main character. I mean, holy cow, she's great.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm probably going to try to find some more time to watch this.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's it for my pick, and it's your turn to pick for next week.
Yes, and I was looking around for something to watch for next week, and a lot of things just didn't catch my eye, or some things were just of a genre that I couldn't, in good conscience, bring to this particular format. But then I was scrolling through a bit, and then I caught something that we had talked about before that we wanted to put on our queue for 3 episodes in. So next week we're going to watch The Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Yay!
Crunchyroll has this for the synopsis. It is June of the year current era 1923. A young girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, Tanya Dugachev, has entered the final curriculum of the Imperial Military Academy and is training the third patrol line in the Northern Military District, in the Norden Theater. As part of her service to the force, her training, the first step towards a brilliant career as an aviation mage, should have gone off without a hitch. But things took an unexpected turn.
Fun times. I'm really excited to watch that. Really excited to give that a try.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so next week we're going to go ahead and watch The Saga of Tanya the Evil. How fitting for the week of Christmas. We're going to watch that.
Yes.
Anyway. That's it for 3 episodes in. Let's move on to recommendation of the week. And it's my pick this week.
It is.
And I'm going to recommend Smash Brothers Ultimate. I got that game when it first came out. And I know there's some problems with the online format, but I don't care about online games. I guess it depends. I mean, I've had fun playing Monster Hunter. I've had fun playing MMOs and things like that. They're fine, but I don't get Smash Brothers to play with random people throughout the world. I get Smash Brothers to play with my siblings, to play with my friends, to have couch co-op
local
or
multiplayer.
Local multiplayer. That's why I get Smash Brothers, and it's incredible. It's just loads of fun. Great characters. Just absolutely chaotic and wonderful. I've had a blast playing it. I'm going to have a blast continuing playing it. So yeah, that's my suggestion. That's my recommendation of the week.
Fantastic.
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Alrighty. This week, it's my turn for creator shout-out, and I'm going to give a shout-out to Corname. Now, Corname is a compilation anime video producer. They're the ones who made that video that I shared with you that was, all the best darkness being darkness, or Megamoon being Megamoon,
yeah.
and various other video clips that they've done. And so we're going to go ahead and link you to if you come to Whittaker Weekly, we'll have links to their YouTube channel and their Patreon page.
Good deal.
But they do some pretty funny stuff.
Cool. Before we go, I want to go ahead and ask you guys for suggestions. If you're listening to this on YouTube, go ahead and comment and say what show you'd like us to go ahead and watch if you want to go ahead and do that. That would be great. We very, very, very much would like to review shows that you guys want us to watch. Anyway, thanks for listening so much in this week. Thanks so much. I'm going to go ahead and start that over. That was bad. Thanks so much for listening in this week. If you listened to it on YouTube, please feel free to like this episode and subscribe to our channel. If you like what we do and want to support us, please spread the word of our podcast or even support us on Patreon. Where can they find us on social media?
Our site, whittakerweekly.com, currently has the links to our Facebook page, Twitter account, Patreon page, and YouTube channel. We encourage all our listeners to follow us on the social media platform of their preference, and if there's one we're not on yet, please reach out to us on one of the ones we've mentioned, and we'll broaden our scope to include you.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to Ben Coombs for providing the artwork for us.
And a shout out to Brasmataz for writing the music Dry Clock that we use for our opening and closers.
All right, well, that's it for this week. I've been Andrew.
I've been Lee.
And this has been Whittaker Weekly. You guys have a great week.